Heyo everyone, it's Freeloader from Team AQZ, and today I'm bringing you a bit of a special one. It is a combo deck I have found. This was on my radar since Whispers from the Maze spoiler season, and I was considering bringing it to a qualifier event actually. However, I deemed it was not comp viable, as it is quite fragile in a meta where a lot of the top decks have very strong interaction, so I'm not going to bring it. I'm also going to use this video as a bit of a springboard to talk about the uniques and deck size in Altered, but before we get ahead of ourselves, here is the deck list. So, what does this deck do? To absolutely nobody's surprise, this is a resupply chain combo deck. It uses free uniques that resupply whenever a permanent is played to put the entire deck in reserve. Note that the unique that requires the sacrificing of a permanent is very important to keep the combo going indefinitely. You can consistently and quickly find your unique with Ouroboros, Lyre Bastion, and once you get that and one unique, you can start cycling for your deck very quickly to find the second. At which point, playing most permanents in your deck will cost you 0 mana, aka 2 resupplies, and when you get your third, they are also giving you an extra card. At that point, you can stack discount effects to play all your cards for free. You can make infinite dragons with Icebound Hollow, or infinite brass bugs with Bug Out Bag. You can anchor your permas and dragons and brass bugs with Muna Druid. You can draw any card you wish with the Foundry Axiom Bastion and Gibble. And all this while spending exactly 0 mana. Then, of course, on following turns, having drawn most permas in your deck, having a 5 card reserve due to Tech Lab unit, and still having all your uniques out, you can just keep going until you inevitably win the game. This deck is not really BGA playable, due to how many actions you need to take when playing it. BGA, with a little bit of lag and all the confirmations required, it's too much time to realistically play this deck. I do believe that in person, with a little bit of practice, this combo should be executable within a normal match duration. Nonetheless, I did play a round against Runefolk on BGA in a timeless game to showcase the potential of the combo in action. In this game, I was going to go off on turn 4, but Rune had a Requiem, so I went off on turn 5 instead. I'm going to let the footage play as I talk about the deck a little, and then maybe broaden the conversation a little as the replay goes on. First though, the deck. Now, I have good uniques for the deck, but there are certainly better. I've seen one in particular that functionally is a 1 cost from hand, 0 cost from reserve for a sacrifice unique, and I know the 1/1 cost uniques exist for the normal resupply effect as well. I believe with optimal uniques in Traced, you can get a surprisingly high turn free combo rate with this deck, aka the 5 mana turn, but you should usually combo by turn 4. If you don't combo by turn 5, then you have gotten quite unlucky in my opinion. Theoretically, even a turn 4 combo would be in time to win the game against a non-festival deck, as they wouldn't reach each other yet, the opposing expeditions. However, the big issue this deck faces is interaction. A single sabotage on a unique should be beatable, since you can often cycle for your entire deck with 2 uniques for 2 to 3 mana, assuming you have an Ouroboros out already. The issue is that with 1 or 2 interactive card pieces, the combo can often be delayed by a turn or so, which then means you are losing to a bunch of double progressions, which the Trace deck is not preventing at all. Even switching to Sierra to give myself more time didn't help that much because opponents also get more time to find their interaction, so it's a bit of a catch-22 situation. Now, some of you might be saying, hey Freeloader, what about the rule that states an ability of a card cannot be activated more than 100 times a day? Doesn't this mean this deck isn't truly infinite? Since you can, if you want, remove your own uniques from play via Boom and replay them to reset your 100 resupplies counter, this isn't too much of an issue for the deck. Furthermore, even if that gets ruled out as well, it just does not take the full 300 total resupplies between the 3 uniques you're running to get yourself into a winning state for any given day. Let's back up a little to how I got this deck idea. This deck came onto my radar during the spoiler season for Whispers from the Maze, and it was a fairly simple process. The potential of resupply uniques were already very well known, and I am aware of what factions can get the resupply clause on a static ability and which ones can't. Of the ones that get it, ironically Axiom, the reserve faction, was the only one that didn't see competitive use for these uniques yet. Still, I was aware that they worked with permanence. Pretty much the evening that I first saw Sap Extractor, I started Fury crafting, but was expecting to still have too few permanents for it to work. But to my surprise, there are actually lots of good tools. Initially, I had built the deck with 3 resuppliers that had no condition. Luckily for me, during Fear Crafting, Keylongai was already looking for budget options and asked me if sacrifice uniques were fine as a restriction, to which I had told him no. Frankly, not my brightest moment. It only took 1 game of testing and fizzling out because I was running out of permanents to play in my deck that I realized Keylongai had donated to me the answer, which was to run 1 unique with a sacrifice condition. Having had a functional combo, I moved on to tinkering. I mostly played around a little bit with various landmark options and hero considerations. I knew that drawing my deck was an option for this combo as well, but I only worried about that a little later. Step by step, I got 2 builds, one for Sierra and one for Traced, both with some advantages and disadvantages. When I first found this deck, I had more faith in it, but I think in part due to a lot of the new cards specifically, discard removal options, and both the top decks that used to have landmarks be a weak spot for them now had license withdrawal to work with. It makes this deck quite unplayable. Now, this isn't the only resupply combo deck. In fact, every faction that gets a resupply static ability on a unique has a combo deck for that unique, except arguably Ordis, where they play it in a relatively speaking fair way for card advantage. This one is not the strongest of the bunch, but it is theoretically the most consistent as a pure combo deck because of Ouroboros, Lyra Bastion. On release of Whispers from the Maze, I had the opinion that deck size was too small in this game, as such unique combos were very viable throughout Trial by Frost. The fact that you have over a 50% chance to draw a card you're running as a free of by day 2 speaks volumes to the consistency that exists within this game. And that can actually be problematic, since it is variance that adds texture to a game. If every game of Altered was you watching the Sierra deck combo off, it would be far less exciting of a game than it is. As such, I definitely also thought that resupply uniques in general deserved a suspension at least. However, my opinions have changed with the onset of Whispers from the Maze. There is now a lot of discard removal in the game, as well as an actual sweeper in the form of the Hunger. While before hyper-unique centric strategies like Perma-Anchortasia, Resupply Aphanos, Resupply Aurak, Pregnant Mecha Otter Ouroboros combo Traced, and other such combo decks were extremely strong in the metagame, albeit rare for some of these. With these new removal tools to break some of the chains or discard a key card for these strategies, these are no longer overbearing. That being said, they are still very consistent, just to be firm on that. Strong removal allows for the game to have such powerful cards and still be in an okay state. I think most people prefer a Sigismar meta or even an Aphanos meta to one where such uniques could run Amok. Additionally, as we can see from the latest World's Champion qualifier in Lille, there are various brews that can hold their own in the meta, that very much also have weaknesses. Take the winning list from Pumpote, running exactly 0 hard removal options in the deck, which would resultingly have a 0% win rate into what you see going on in the background. So hey, if you are expecting a Trace meta, maybe this is the deck for you. But to get back on track, discard removal was important for the game to deal with our out-of-tune static ability uniques, as it incentivizes players to use their unique slots on strong temporary effects to win out on certain days, rather than play into an unbalanced static ability where if there is a failure to interact, the entire game is over. And this, in my opinion, is healthy. And keep in mind, I'm saying this as the first person that was regularly playing Ouroboros Trace combo post-Haven nerf, as the inventor of whatever this pile is, as a co-architect of Hostage Waru. I love myself some game-breaking degeneracy, but breaking the game only means something if it is something special instead of the norm. That isn't to say the current meta is without issues. So much strong removal running around while having very few true fail cases because of how flexible and cheap removal needs to be playable. Heck, going back to Pumpo, they were running 0 hard removal options, not even an Axiom Burst, because at free cost, despite relatively liberal conditions, a removal like that is just not worth running. Meanwhile, we flip to Ephanos or Sigismar, where we see 2-cost counterparts run rampant as auto-include free-ofs in all decks. The removal issue makes it so, depending on what deck and what removal is strong, entire groups of cards become unplayable as a consequence. Especially with the current design of cards, the number of decks that perform well into removal and the number of decks which perform poorly into removal are very skewed. There are lots of different potential answers to this issue. Maybe they need to be a bit more liberal with the tough keyword. Maybe they need more token producing effects in the game. Maybe they just need to tune hero strength more over the next couple of sets, and once Golrang or Atsade get even more tools, cheap removal naturally gets worse. You could also find solutions via new heroes, etc, etc, etc. So there's tons of solutions possible, and I'm not too worried about this in the long term. On a bit of a tangent, I remain very hopeful for this game, as I do truly believe each new set has addressed an issue the game was having at the current time, without toppling and overtuning the meta completely. I'm all too familiar with the feeling when playing a TCG, where a new set means I almost need to completely relearn the game, and this is something that on a personal level I am happy is not the case in Altered. To get back on track, we may be in a removal meta, where the latest winning deck ran exactly 0 removal effects, and hopefully the removal meta will loosen up a little bit, but not too much, as removal is far more important to this game than you might realize. Even getting back to deck size, the level of consistency in this game is absolutely insane, but this means that the number of non-games you have once you are playing a properly constructed deck are negligible. And also, when you build a deck, your deck will get a chance to do the thing it was supposed to do nearly every game, which is incredible for a card game. Meanwhile, the fact that the game starts at free mana, and each and every strategy in this game packs such a punch, as well as there being so much interaction you can play if you want, that it allows you to find niches to counter a metagame effectively, especially as the card pool grows. Even uniques, by being so particular and strong, create a more diverse metagame, just by allowing worse strategies to play cheat cards with which they might be able to overcome a certain part of the meta. So for me, it really all comes together quite nicely in Altered. Alright, I think I've gone on enough tangents that have absolutely nothing to do with what you are seeing on the screen at the moment, so I'm just gonna let you guys enjoy the show. I'll chime in occasionally with some random verbiage that may or may not be relevant to what you are seeing unfold, but yeah, have fun watching this absolute monstrosity take the win in this game. So, with nothing else to say, see you all in the next one, if you aren't too disgusted with me releasing this into the wild. I don't know what the hell I was coping on saying I could finish a game of this in 30 minutes in person. You know, I tried doing the card draw thing with Hooked because I thought Hooked would be better in the earlier stages of the game, but it turns out it's really hard to draw the right card when you're using Hooked. It's far easier with Gibble, so that's why I swapped to that. It's okay. We all lose sometimes, and it was just a game of Altered that you lost, along with 28 rating points. It's okay. It's frustrating, but it's okay. You'll get those rating points back. I believe in you. You know, likely no one other than me cares, but I just got a result on every hero on 39 cards. I'm pretty sure I'm the only person who has it. So, get wrecked, fools. Crazy? I was crazy once. They locked me in a room. A rubber room. A rubber room of rats. And rats make me crazy. Crazy? I was crazy once. They locked me in a room. A rubber room. A rubber room of rats. And rats make me crazy. Crazy? I was crazy once. They locked me in a room. A rubber room. A rubber room of rats. And rats make me crazy. Crazy? I was crazy once. They locked me in a room. A rubber room. A rubber room of rats. And rats make me crazy. I don't know if this is super controversial, but Rin really deserves to be able to hold 3 cards in reserve by default. Change my mind. You will fail. I think. I mean, maybe not, but then my mind has changed, in which case the game is perfect. For those of you that don't know, Auroch is my favorite hero. And the reason is because that ability is so darn restrictive in deck building. Man, oh man. You only get to play bad cards. And your reward? Well, it's comparable to the Sigismar token. It's pretty good. Man, that hero makes no sense. I love it. So, anyone want to buy some Axiom resupply uniques, perchance? If anybody is still here, especially someone from Equinox, please make Arjun's ability anchor anything. It deserves to be mediocre. I know it's frustrating to lose against Stefanos. It happens to all of us. It's okay. Take solace staring that one day we will have an anti-mage character that Stefanos just cannot beat. And rejoice. Now, I'm not saying you should play this deck, but I also can't stop you from going onto the marketplace, buying 3 of these uniques, queuing a timeless game into Kohlrabi, and making him sit there for all eternity, watching you make dragons, upon dragons, upon dragons, upon dragons, upon dragons, upon dragons. Shout out to Revert War.
Okay, I think you get the point now, and I might have gotten carried away a little bit in this game as it is quite clearly over, so I'm gonna skip to the end screen and call it a day from here. We are slowly but surely closing in on the end of this video, so let me know what you thought of this pile. Do you want to give it a try? Do you hate me for publishing this? Do you think resupply unique should be banned from the game? Do you have other interesting opinions? How's your day been? I don't know, I'm just trying to fill up the time here. Either way, I do hope you enjoyed the video, and at the very least found it interesting. I also hope this sparks a little bit of creativity maybe, for those of you that are a bit too honed in on what is meta and what is not. There are still quite a couple things undiscovered in this game. Yeah, I hope you'll have a good time, and I'm not gonna lie, this was the easiest win of my life. See you all around, and if you're going to Essen, hit me up. I'll be there.